right? And somebody might be paying some serious money for it. So you have to make sure it's the real thing.
You can see the corners, as excited, just kind of ripped it off.
How fast it pumps depends on how fit you are.
He picked her up and carried her to his magic chamber.
Hey humans, it's Hannah. Welcome back to the channel. Or if you're new here, we do videos on creepy and disturbing things here. And today we are diving into yet another iceberg. Today we are starting a very deep, long iceberg, and we're gonna do the Internet Mysteries iceberg. I have hesitated on doing this one for so long because it has been covered before, but I do think that I can offer some different takes on some of the mysteries. I usually lean towards the more skeptical side of things, so I think I can have something to offer when I talk about these and analyze these, as well as I didn't see any videos that were super thorough, and I want to make a really thorough video. Longer. This video is going to be long. I predict now, I never know until I'm editing, but I predict now that this video is going to be at least an hour and a half, if not 2 hours. So we'll see. If you're new to the iceberg world and have no idea what I'm talking about, I will give you a very, very brief synopsis of icebergs right now. So everybody knows what an iceberg is. Well, there's these things called iceberg charts where they can be memes, they can be funny, they can get really, really dark like we're going to get in this one and all the other icebergs on my channel, or they could be just like serious or for educational purposes. People on Reddit are big on making these and they collaborate together. The way iceberg charts work is that the tip of the iceberg, the top of the iceberg is always stuff that you've heard of. So it's all in one category. So we're doing internet mysteries, but you could do, I'm sure there's a Roblox iceberg or a Pokemon iceberg or a evil CEO iceberg. I don't know. There's like, it's all by categorized, and the tip of the iceberg, the higher tiers are always the least obscure, the ones that most of us have heard of, or the top tiers are the ones that are the most well known amongst most people. And then as we get deeper down, we get more obscure, more mysterious, typically darker and more disturbing, and it's a wild ride. So I've done lots of icebergs on this channel. I've done Strange Death. The one that really took off on my channel was the Do Not Research iceberg series. So I absolutely love making these. So this video is, because it's so long and I worked so hard on it, it is supported by a sponsor so I can pay my bills. So I'm gonna roll that, but I will be right back with you guys. This video is sponsored by Trade Coffee. I love coffee, as I'm sure many of you also do, but if you're like me, it's literally what gets you out of bed in the morning, because you need something to look forward to get out of your nice comfy bed, and coffee is that motivation for me. I have recently discovered Trade Coffee, and I have to say they are amazing. Trade delivers the best at-home coffee experience. They offer everything you need to create a better coffee experience in your home. Trade curates specific coffees for you that match your individual taste profile perfectly on their site. I took the quiz and was able to tell them that I prefer medium to light roast coffees, and they sent me a bag based on my preferences. One of my absolute favorite things about Trade, hands down, is that they are very picky about the coffees they sell. Only about 500 different coffees to date have made it past their strict criteria. The people at Trade are grinding, they're brewing and tasting coffees from all around the world, and they only sell the best of the best. Trade is so confident that you are going to love your experience with them that they are offering 30% off of your first month. Visit drinktrade.com/horrible to try it out. Oh yeah, I forgot. I usually credit whoever made this iceberg. Unfortunately, the user, the one that I'm using and referencing, is on Reddit, and the user has been deleted. So I don't know who created this originally. If anybody knows who it is or can track down the username, let me know and I will credit them in the next video if you email me. So, okay, let's get into it. So the first tier, this is going to be stuff that if you've been on the internet a while, you've probably heard of a lot of these, or they at least ring a bell. So let's go over these first. The most mysterious song on the internet is the first one. The TLDR of this one is that it is a song that does actually exist. Like there's a recording of it, but no one knows who wrote it, who performed it, or who produced it. The title of the song, most people refer to it as Like the Wind, but there are other titles to the song. The title that people refer to is always based on the lyrics, at least the lyrics that we think they're saying. It's really hard to understand. The lyrics, it doesn't help that the only recording we have was somebody using a cassette tape and holding it up to their radio basically to get a recording of the song from the radio on their cassette tape. A teenager named Darius S. was the one who recorded this song on his cassette in the mid 1980s when it came out on a German radio station called, I'm gonna butcher this, Norddeutscher Rundfunk. It's a German radio station. The teenager was a DJ in his own time, and he was making a mixtape of songs that he liked. This was the age before the internet. As I said, this was the 80s. People weren't on the internet every day like we are now. A lot of people would hear songs on the radio and not know what they were. Like most of you remember, even from the 90s and early 2000s, like a lot of the time we didn't have like these apps and stuff that you could just like hum a few verses of a song and then Google will tell you what the song is and who the artist is, or you can just put in a couple words of the lyrics on Google and the song comes right up. It wasn't like that 20 years ago, and this was 40 years ago. So a lot of the time, unless you caught the radio station saying who the song was, a lot of the time people didn't know the song playing. They just knew if they liked it. For his mixtape, he did actually figure out who a lot of the artists were on these songs. As you can see, he even made a playlist, except this one. In 2004, like literally 2 decades later, Darius's older sister got him a web domain as a birthday gift, and he used it to raise awareness about the mysterious song. Like it had obviously been bugging him all these years. And his older sister, who got him the domain, her name was Lydia, she also began helping him search for the song in the following years. So that's how the song ended up online in the first place, from their cassette player. Then in 2017, record label Dead Wax Records posted the snippet of the song on their YouTube channel. A friend of the Dead Wax Records owner named Gabriel Pellinson, who became incredibly interested in figuring out the song's origin, he started posting it around 2019. He posted it all over YouTube, a lot on Reddit, eventually creating a subreddit r/the mysterious song. So anyone interested in the hunt could join. Internet sleuths have followed many leads over the years, and the subreddit is still very active, so I do have faith that someday this one is going to be solved, but as of now, it is not. Cicada 3301. Now, here's one that I am positive that most of you have at least heard the name before. Limino, a very big YouTuber, I think I'm saying their channel name right. I'm sorry, I'm not a frequent viewer of them, so if I'm saying them wrong, Limino, I think you guys know who I'm talking about. They have a video about Cicada 3301 that has racked up 34 million views here on YouTube. This is one of the most bananas internet mysteries ever to exist, which is why I think it is so well known. It is in my top 5 to be solved one day, because it's not the mystery itself, it's not the puzzles in this one that bug me, it's the who made this in the first place that bugs the crap out of me. Cicada 3301 started all the way back in January 2012 on 4chan, of course, when a user posted the the following message. Hello, we are looking for highly intelligent individuals. To find them, we have devised a test. There is a message hidden in this image. Find it, and it will lead you on the road to finding us. We look forward to meeting the few that will make it all the way through. Good luck, and it's signed 3301. Now, I have absolutely zero interest in deciphering codes or complicated number and letter puzzles. You guys need to know that up front about this iceberg, is that I'm not going to dive too deep in the details of these random number puzzles. And the reason is that it bores me. I like the mystery as a whole, and I like reporting on the answers to the puzzles, but I just want the answer. I don't want to try to figure it out. I just read what other people have done. Everybody else does the hard work. But people that are way smarter than me, I am not a math person. I'm not a Cody person. So that kind of stuff just doesn't interest me. But the overall mystery is very fascinating. The puzzles in this case, might I add, are also extremely intricate. I'm actually going to show you a really quick clip from Limino's video from when they are solving all the puzzles or explaining the puzzles, so you can see how complicated it is.
The codes linked to an image, the image contained a riddle, the riddle led to a book, and the book led to a website. But here, the puzzle took an unexpected turn.
So yeah, you can understand why I didn't really deep dive into the actual puzzles that much. In a nutshell, Cicada 3301 consisted of 3 puzzles. Only the smartest people in the world basically would be able to figure them out. They were so difficult. Once the select few solved the first puzzle, Cicada would be very silent, not show up at all for a full year, and then they would come back the next year with the next puzzle, and they did this 3 consecutive times. Eventually, every puzzle as it was solved would lead people to real-life GPS coordinates in the real world. And it wasn't just one area of the world, it was all around the world. When people hunting down this mystery went to those exact coordinates, they would find a poster of a cicada, the symbol of this whole thing, on a little piece of paper with a QR code on it in that coordinate, which is just bananas. Think about that for a second. That means that whoever is behind this is a group of people all over the world. It's not just a few guys in their mom's basement drinking beer and messing with the internet. This is something that obviously goes very deep and also very wide. The QR code then supposedly led the player to a Tor website, but only the very few select smart people who figured out the code and went to this QR code saw whatever was on that website, but then it quickly got taken down once the people creating this figured out that the puzzle had been solved and somebody saw the website. There is one person who claims to have been the 2012 winner, and it's very likely that this person is legit. We're pretty sure this is the right person. We just can't confirm 1000%. But they leaked the email that they received from the Cicada group after they won. And the basic premise of the group was that they claimed to be an international group working together behind the scenes, basically at a little club. And they were trying to primarily fight censorship. They didn't believe in any sort of censorship. And they also wanted to fight for individual privacy, everybody's right to individual privacy. And they wanted to find people that were not only very intelligent, but obviously had coding skills to join them in this group to help them further this cause. They had a project they were working on to help with the censorship problem in a lot of countries, or in the world, I guess, and as well as privacy issues. And they had this project that was going to help solve that. And they wanted to recruit more smart people to help them with it. Of course, others theorized that they were actually a cult or some sort of secret religion. Regardless of what or who they are, obviously they do exist, because you can't just put pieces of physical paper around specific coordinates all over the globe without somebody being behind this. So basically, all 3 of the puzzles that have come out in the 3 consecutive years have all been solved by internet sleuths. So that part of this whole mystery has been solved. The mysterious part is that we don't know who this is or what they really wanted in the end. That's the part that's so interesting to me, and it's just bananas that there's people just sitting in their homes, maybe with kids and spouses who don't even know that they're doing this stuff. Imagine you think your spouse is cheating and you go into a room and they're just working on codes for this international clubhouse that they're in to recruit smart people from. Okay, that was Cicada 3301. Let's move on. The next one in the first tier is the Max Headroom Incident, another one that many of you have probably heard of. This is also one of the coolest internet mysteries to ever exist, and unlike Cicada, I really hope this one is never solved because I love the mystery behind this one. This is the original internet troll, the OG troll, and I think it would take the fun out of all of it if this was ever solved. I don't want to know who did this. So anyway, if you don't know, Max Headroom, separate from this incident, Max Headroom is a character. Max Headroom is a fictional character. He was from the 80s. He's a man pretending to be a computer-generated TV broadcaster. The actor playing Max Headroom was Matt Frewer, and he would dress in prosthetics, in contacts, crazy suit. They'd have a blue screen, and then with some editing tricks, it would look like he was actually a CGI character, even though he wasn't. He was a real man in a costume. So on November 22nd, 1987, there were 2 stations in Chicago, specifically, that were hijacked by someone wearing a Max Headroom costume and standing behind a very similar background to the Max Headroom fictional character on his show. The first hijack was 25 seconds on the WGN TV channel during their 9 p.m. broadcast. And then there was a second that was actually 1.5 minutes during PBS station's WTTW while they were playing an episode of Doctor Who, and this happened a couple hours after the first hijack. It's so funny that the reason that this second hijack was 1.5 minutes is because nobody was monitoring the station up in the little tower. Like, the first one only lasted 25 seconds because somebody figured it out really quick and overrode the hijack, but the second one they didn't even... They just somebody was asleep at the wheel on that one, so they got to take over for quite a long time. Anyway, and then the second incident is the same person in his costume, and he's talking, but then at the end it takes a really strange turn when he exposes his naked butt to a woman who you can't see her face, she's off screen, and she starts lightly spanking him with a fly swatter. Not seriously whatsoever. They're obviously trolling. I think it's super funny, but I'm also 12, so. The TV stations did not think it was as funny. The FCC, which is the Federal Communications Commission, did a full-on investigation to try to find and then be able to prosecute these hijackers. But they couldn't figure it out. Whoever did it was very careful, and the perpetrator has never been caught. What's also funny is that the statute of limitations on a crime like this has also long passed, decades ago. It passed. So if somebody did come out and take responsibility for this, they wouldn't even get in trouble. But still, it remains a mystery. Nobody has ever come forward and taken credit for this incident. And a big theory a lot of people have was that it was either an employee or an ex-employee of the station, so they knew kind of some of the ins and outs and they were disgruntled or something. It's my favorite. I love that internet mystery though, and like I said, I hope it's never solved. Okay, moving on to Blank Room Soup.avi, another one that a lot of you have heard of or seen the video of. And doing this, guys, we love going down memory lane, but I made a video on Blank Room Soup, and it was one of my first videos. I was in my tiny studio apartment. In the video, you could see my kitchen behind me and then my bed literally feet away from my kitchen. I was in my 450 square foot studio apartment starting to make YouTube videos, and honestly, watching back my video on Blank Room Soup, it's of course not great quality, but it's not as bad as I thought it was gonna be. I'm not gonna lie. Anyway, so Blank Room Soup. I'm gonna show you the videos right now for those of you that don't know what it is or if you need a refresher. So they're 2 short clips. Warning, I guess. Well, I guess I'll probably put a warning before this entire video, but they are kind of disturbing if you're not used to this kind of stuff. If you're a total noob to internet mysteries, this one's a little creepy. So here's what everybody's talking about when we say Blank Room Soup. So to understand this mystery, we need to understand who Raymond S. Percy is. Raymond S. Percy is an animator, he's a producer, he's a voice actor, an artist, entertainer, he's all the things. And he has a performance group called Ray Ray. The performers in this group wear what he calls Ray Ray costumes, the suits with those big heads that you saw in the video. It is alleged by Raymond Percy that someone stole 2 of the Ray Ray costumes from his trailer after a show one night, and later, Raymond was sent an email that contained these bizarre and disturbing videos. Raymond then posted them online to see if anybody could help him figure out where these videos came from, and that's where the mystery stems from. After this video went viral, rumors started running wild, and I mean like jungle wild. The most popular story behind this video was that this man and his wife or girlfriend were kidnapped, and these people were holding him hostage. They killed his wife, chopped her up, and made her into a soup, and now are forcing him to eat it, and that's why he's crying. I don't know who started that rumor. I honestly think that it was probably a creepypasta somebody wrote, and everybody went with it. My opinion about this entire thing is actually the same as it was in my original video about it. I think Raymond, being a performance artist, made this entire story up as a publicity stunt that worked very well. I think these are actors. I think Raymond made these videos himself and then claimed that some creepy dark web video of his own costumes were sent to him via email shortly after his costumes were stolen. That is, of course, an opinion, not a fact. I don't have solid evidence to back that up. I just think that because he's a performance artist, like, why wouldn't you? If you had the opportunity to make one of the most notorious creepy videos in internet history, like, wouldn't you? And, you know, I just feel like, I don't know, I just feel like if this was a real person, some authorities would have looked into this or something. Polybius is the next one on this tier. Polybius is a fun one as well. Polybius was supposedly an arcade game that showed up in Portland, Oregon all the way back in 1981. The legend goes that this arcade game showed up and it became so addictive and so popular that there was almost always crowds around the game and lines out the door onto the street to play the game. It was so competitive to play that it was reported people would get in fist fights sometimes over who was going to play next. The game was rumored to be more addictive than the other games because it had psychoactive effects like built into the game. But because of these psychoactive effects, it also made some people who played the game suffer from seizures, amnesia, hallucinations, insomnia, even night terrors. Then it said that men in black would periodically come to collect data off of the machine so they could bring it back and study study how these psychoactive effects were impacting the players. About a month after the game was originally put into several arcades in the Portland, Oregon area, it suddenly disappeared without a trace. Now, not surprisingly, there's never been any solid proof that this game ever existed, let alone in Portland in the 80s. Like, it never, at least as far as we know, there's no evidence that it ever existed at all. The theory is that this legend or creepypasta, copypasta kind of sprouted out of real incidences of teens in the 80s going to arcades, playing for too long, and then getting sick because they were staring too intently at this really bright screen for too long, which there were accounts of that actually happening. So it's kind of thought that this was inspired from incidences like that. Now, to be fair, the game technically exists now because there are fan iterations of the game that people have made, I think, on the computer, but also people have made full-on arcade games of Polybius, and it's so funny. They're not real. Like, it's not like it's the original from the 1980s. It's just that people got creative and they get such a fan of these things that they make them themselves. It's pretty cool. There are, however, some people that claim that they played this game in the 80s. However, it's theorized that they're probably misremembering a different game that they were playing and just like attributing to this as things like this. Stories like this, if told over and over enough, people do start to create false memories around them, as we'll see a lot in this iceberg. Now, this iceberg is color-coded for unsolved versus solved mysteries. I have found that a lot of them are inaccurate though, so I'm just going to tell you as we go along. This one on the iceberg says it's unsolved, but I would consider this solved in my personal opinion because there's no evidence that this ever existed. It's just an urban legend. So let's move on to one that is definitely solved, and that is Webdriver Torso. Webdriver Torso is a YouTube channel, and all they post is videos such as this. This channel started uploading in 2013, and they started being noticed in 2014 for the strange videos and the strange abnormal amount of uploads. To date, the channel has over 624,000 videos on it. Most of the videos are like the one I showed you, but the most viewed video is a couple seconds of the Eiffel Tower lit up, and then the person filming shows just a glimpse of their computer, and they're on the Webdriver Torso Facebook page. Then a video called TMP RKR I-85 shows the same type of video as the others, but then there's this silhouette of Rick Astley dancing, a reference to the Rickrolling song that a lot of people use. We talked about that in the Shocker Iceberg about Rickrolls. You know, it's the song that people like, they pretend like they're being helpful, but instead they send other people a link to that music video. And it's just a prank. It's a joke. Anyway, but then the title makes more sense because then it's like template Rick Roll. It's RKRL 85 Rick Roll. And for the 1980s, get it? Yeah, haha. For the longest time, people were thinking that this was aliens sending us message, and that's another recurring theme that you'll see in a lot of these mysteries. Literally every single mystery, one of the theories that will come out is that it's aliens trying to communicate with us. Every single one. It's kind of funny. So this one was, people thought it was aliens talking to us, or perhaps it was part of the Cicada 3301 mystery and they were sending us messages through this YouTube channel. But this entire channel was confirmed by Google to be a test channel for YouTube. In fact, if you put in Webdriver Torso into Google, the Google symbol turns into the little Webdriver Torso shapes. YouTube was uploading on this channel too. It was literally a quality control channel. So they were testing how the pre-upload compared to the uploaded version related in quality. And they used these very contrasting colors and sounds and stuff so that they could easily test out. So they wanted to see and make sure that the videos they uploaded matched the quality of the videos prior to the upload, if that makes sense. Markovian Parallax Denigrate is the next one. Try to say that 3 times fast. And for you to understand what this one is, we need to understand what Usenet is. And unless you are in the older generations, when the internet first came out, you probably don't know what Usenet is. So Usenet was kind of like our first social media. It was developed in 1979. It came out in 1980. And it's essentially, I think of it as a prehistoric Reddit. People were able to send messages to each other and files to each other. But in 1996, Usenet was bombarded with mysterious messages that no one understood. The only thing that connected everything in the messages was Markovian, Parallax, Denigrate. Hence the name. This one turned into a huge conspiracy theory because eventually people connected the messages to a name, Susan Lindauer, and there was a Susan Lindauer in the CIA. Oh no. So of course, conspiracies went wild. People thought that this was Susan taking over Usenet and bombarding it with these weird messages. However, finally a Daily Dot article came out about this particular mystery and deep dived it further than anyone else had yet. They were able to debunk that Susan had absolutely anything to do with these messages, and that this was literally just spam. It was just one of the first instances of spam, and a lot of people didn't know really what spam was yet. And it was probably just trolls or some sort of spam or scam, and people just it got out of hand. A858 is the next one on tier 1. This is a Reddit mystery. In 2011, this subreddit was made, and a user by the same name as the subreddit started posting a bunch of random codes. There was no explanation to go with it. The subreddit was set up so only some could get in, and so people couldn't just freely post on there. So instead, Redditors made a subreddit called A858, which was the beginning of that long username. So it was that username for short. Only a few of the thousands of codes have ever been solved, most notably the ASCII image of Stonehenge. Then an account associated with the creators of the project did do an Ask Me Anything on this solving A58 subreddit a few years later in 2015. Of course, they did the AMA in code. It wasn't super helpful in the end, though. It was interesting, but they said in the AMA that they were doing the AMA because everyone was getting frustrated and that they couldn't disclose what the purpose of the project was. So, like I said, there wasn't Ask Me Anything, but it was not super informative. So then shortly after that, it was announced that the project had ended completely. A few weeks later, a couple users claimed to have contacted the owners of A858, and that person said that he was simply being paid by someone funding the project to post these codes on Reddit. That's really all we know about this one. It's really interesting because there's been thousands and thousands of codes and only a couple of them have been decoded. And that's all we know about it, is that somebody was being paid to post these, but we don't even know if they really understood what the project was. So we still don't know really who was behind this or who this company was. And I think this one is also still active to this day. Okay, so let's move on to the next one is John Titor. John Titor started posting on internet forums in the 2000 to 2001 years. He claimed that he was a time traveler from the year 2036. He was apparently part of the military and he went back in time on a mission for them, and he actually went into some pretty seemingly accurate details about the time machine that he used. He said he originally went back to 1975 to get an IBM 5100 computer to help them on a project in 2036, but he stopped by on his way back in the year 2001 to visit his family. He then starts to make all these predictions to kind of try to help prove that he was really a time traveler. He claimed that soon the United States would experience a very long civil war that would finally end in 2013 with World War III, where billions of people would be killed. That was the biggest prediction. There were a few others, but that was the most notable because it's the most devastating, of course. Now get this. Conveniently, he also tells us that they figured out in the future that the multiple worlds theory in quantum mechanics is true. So we have discussed this in the past, but the many worlds theory, or the multiple worlds, multiple universe theory in quantum mechanics, says that basically the universe is so big that there's an infinite number of planets and dimensions, and everything that could happen is, will, or did happen in one of these parallel universes / worlds. So everything that could be happening in one world, the opposite would be happening in another parallel world, if that makes sense. It is confusing because it's quantum mechanics, but this time traveler claims that this is true. So if the predictions, he's on a different timeline later, he's on a different universe. So if his predictions don't come true exactly how he says, that's why, because the timelines are just different. So it basically made his entire thing non-falsifiable conveniently, which means that it makes it so that nobody can say that he was wrong, because if it didn't happen, then he could just say, well, I was on a different timeline. And then if it does happen, then he was like, see, I was right, you know, just very convenient. So this mystery is technically, I would say debunked. It's not like 1000% debunked, but it's good enough for me. A TV program hired a private investigator to track down the IP address of the person making these posts. They found a company in the area of that IP address, and that company was called the John Titor Foundation. This foundation had a P.O. box in Florida, and that P.O. box led them to a man named Larry Haber, who was an entertainment lawyer. Larry had a brother who was also a computer scientist. So it is believed that these two brothers combined, so the computer scientist used his knowledge of that to describe the sciencey details of time travel better and more convincingly, and then the entertainment lawyer kind of came up with the whole plot. Like I said, that's not 100% confirmed, but that's a good enough explanation for me. Either way, even if that's incorrect, I don't think that any of this is real. I don't think we have ever come across a real time traveler to date. I'm not saying that it's impossible in any way, but every story I've come across has been debunked. So anyway, okay. Strange sounds in the sky is next. I might be wrong on this one, actually. I am pretty sure that this one is referring to the phenomenon of sky trumpets. This refers to the phenomenon of different people from different parts of the world catching videos of very bizarre sounds coming from the sky. So I will show you a couple clips of those videos right now so you know what I'm talking about. Some say that it's a rumbling. Some say that it sounds like a train, like skidding on its tracks. Some say it sounds like a beast. Others say that it sounds like almost like a submarine scraping against the bottom of a pool. There have even been multiple 911 calls in the past of people hearing this and just being straight up scared, not knowing what is going on. And this is another one on the iceberg that claims it's solved, but I'm wondering if I have the right mystery on this one, because this is not solved. There's a lot of theories and natural world theories on it that could explain them, but this is not officially solved. One of the most prominent theories is that this is actually earthquakes, very low level earthquakes, and it's the ground shifting and making some noise, but the earthquake size is so small that we're not actually feeling the shaking. There's another popular theory that it's just gas coming out of the earth, like the earth is farting, and because the earth is so big, it makes like a huge rumbling noise when it farts, when it releases gases. And there's another theory that it's meteors. Some say it's just volcano activity. Some say it's man-made sounds like, yes, trains. Or perhaps it's the military testing weapons or doing other tests. Like I said, Somebody always thinks it's aliens, so a lot of people think it's aliens. Very religious folks say that it's literally God rumbling the earth because he's mad at us or something. I'm not sure. It's a very strange phenomenon, and some of the videos have been proven to be fake. Like, some of them are set up, but a lot of them are legit videos that are real as far as we know. And so it is a real phenomenon, and it is really interesting. Of course, my logical ask thinks that it's earthquakes or one of those natural occurring things. Or I guess the military is plausible as well. Unfavorable Semicircle is next. Unfavorable Semicircle also refers to a YouTube channel that started posting in 2015. The videos are very strange. They were very short, showed some kind of visuals like this, and often had a man's voice saying letters and numbers. And there was just a lot of videos being uploaded very quickly. The BBC even started reporting on this because it was going so viral. But then, weirdly, in February 2016, shortly after the BBC reported on this mystery, the account was then suspended by YouTube for violating their terms of service, which most people believe is probably because they were posting too many videos too quickly, which is often seen as spamming the platform by YouTube. A little bit ironic considering YouTube's the one that created Webdriver Torso, but I understand that they, is for testing reasons that they can bypass any terms of service that they want, right? But YouTube taking the video down kind of had a Barbra Streisand effect. Like, everybody just became even more intrigued with it because that just added to the intrigue. There's been a lot of theories, but a lot of people can't even figure out all the puzzles. And that blows my mind because on the internet, there are some really smart people on the internet, smarter than me, smarter than anybody I know, who can figure out some really bizarre things. The prevailing theories are that this is either an ARG that never came out to explicitly say it was an ARG, or perhaps this was somebody with a mental illness that was posting these things on the platform. We don't know. It's unsolved. A Day with SpongeBob Squarepants is next. This one is so weird. And in spite of this one being at the very top of the iceberg in tier 1, I had never heard of this one before somehow. And this is also the type of mystery that I live for. I love some lost media shit with mysteries and conspiracies involved. A Day with SpongeBob Squarepants is a movie that never existed. It's said that the script exists somewhere, that someone wrote the entire script for the movie, but people started side-eyeing this one because the poster that came out for the movie to promote the movie, it seemed to be a real poster, except for the fact that people figured out that the boy in the poster was a stock photo of somebody, of just some kid. It was not an actor or the actor that was going to play the part in this movie. So the movie was originally supposed to be, it was going to debut as a mockumentary that was produced by a company called Regal Films. Just a side note, don't go to like regalfilms.com or Google Regal Films and then click on their website, because I saw on some of my sources that the website is dangerous / could carry viruses to your computer, so just FYI, don't go to the website. But according to Regal Films, this was going to be the plot of the movie. This is the plot in the script. In this mockumentary, SpongeBob lives above ground like all Hollywood superstars. Afraid that SpongeBob is becoming old news, his boss runs a contest called Spend a Day with SpongeBob. The contest makes SpongeBob the talk of the town as thousands of kids enter to win. The lucky winner is Seth, and he is ecstatic about his day with SpongeBob. However, the day becomes a roller coaster ride as things don't quite go the way they planned. So in spite of the fact that this film doesn't exist, my understanding is that they were planning to make this film, but it never got picked up, and that the script exists for it, or at least parts of the script somewhere, and they even went as far to make the promotional poster using a stock image of a random boy, but the movie did not get made in the end. And then there's this other side conspiracy theory about Regal Films, the company company behind the movie. They were setting up Kickstarter campaigns for this and for other movies to raise money to produce these movies. But the conspiracy theory is that because these movies don't seem to come into fruition, that they're using the Kickstarter campaigns and it's a guise for money laundering. Again, this is alleged / speculation. This is not a fact by any stretch of the imagination, but that's the conspiracy, is that they were actually pretending that they were going to make these movies so that they could have these Kickstarter campaigns, but the Kickstarter campaigns were actually their own money that they were laundering. Really, really bizarre, but I love shit like that. Okay, Solway Firth Spaceman. This one is also solved. This one refers to this photo that was taken in Solway, Firth in Cumberland, England on May 23rd, 1964. This photo was taken by a photographer named James Templeton. The photo is of his 5-year-old daughter, but he claims that he didn't realize that there was this figure in the background when he took the photo, and also swears that there was nobody around. And obviously, you can see it in the photo. It is weird how it looks like somebody in a spacesuit behind him. Like there's an astronaut that photobombed. However, after many years of speculation, this has been solved. This is actually Jim's wife, Annie. He was taking a lot of photos that day, and there's a theory that when he was taking this photo of his daughter, back then you couldn't see everything through the viewfinder in the camera, and so she had stepped into the photo, but when he was actually taking the photo, he couldn't see her, which is why he didn't think that there was anybody else in the photo. But this is very much just Annie, his wife, in the background of the photo with her back turned, and she has her hair up, so that's why you can't really see a face, and it does kind of look like a spacesuit then because of it. She was actually wearing a light blue dress, but in other photos taken that day, it also, the overexposure made her dress look white in some of the photos. So really cool photo in the end, a very simple explanation. This man is next, and many of you, I'm sure, have heard of this one because it has also gone viral many times over the years. There was this really creepy photo of this smiling man that was showing up everywhere. Posters all over the place in real life saying, "Ever dream this man?" and resulted in tons of people swearing that this man had in fact been in their dreams, and that apparently lots of people had seen this exact man in their dreams. All of this seemed to originate from a mysterious website that was made in 2008. And on the website, it claimed that there were people coming forward saying that they had experienced seeing this man in their dreams in as early as 2006. That it was this weird phenomenon where people that were unrelated to each other were seeing this particular man and recognizing this man as somebody in their dream. This whole thing turned out to be a hoax. A man named Andrea Natella had actually created this website to begin with. And Andrea is not only a sociologist, but a marketer. He made this viral marketing scheme as a guerrilla marketing campaign for his ad agency. The sketch of this man, this creepy man, was actually based on a photo that he found of his own father from when he was younger. And he got inspired to create this hoax and see if he could basically fabricate an urban legend and also see what it would do to the false memories of people if people could have false collective memories together and swear that they saw this man in their dream just because they were prompted to look at this man and they were prompted to think if he had ever been in their dreams. And it worked. It was not only an ad campaign but a sociology experiment, and he was really good at it, and it's still a very popular mystery to this day. Elisa Lam is the last one on tier 1. Now I will explain this one because it's part of the video, but we've talked about Elisa Lam ad nauseum. I feel like at this point she's on pretty much every internet mystery or anything involving the internet ever, anywhere. Like one of the most infamous mysteries to ever exist. Like people are really fascinated by this one. And I have also said this, but it gets to the point where I feel like people forget that this was an actual person that died and that Elisa was a very young woman who lost her entire fucking life, and her family lost her as part of their family and their daughter and their sister and their loved one. And I just feel like a lot of people get lost in the sauce on this one a little bit. You know, I just have to preface this, but I will explain what it is. So I'm sure you guys have watched videos on this one, or you've seen the documentary. etc. But Elisa Lam was a Canadian woman. She was a tourist in California at the famously haunted Cecile Hotel in 2013. Elisa was sadly found dead inside the water tank on the roof of the hotel weeks after disappearing, weeks after being reported missing. And she was only discovered after guests started to complain about low water pressure in their rooms, flooding issues, and even some people complaining that their water was discolored or tasted off. Just to add to it all, Elisa was also found completely naked, but her clothes and some of her belongings were with her floating in the tank. So that's all mysterious and creepy and crazy enough. But then what really, really made this into the viral mystery that it was that then CCTV footage was released publicly of Elisa in the hotel acting very erratically in the elevator. She's looking out of the elevator and looking from side to side as if she's being followed by someone. She looks like she's hiding and she looks scared. And this is the last time anybody saw her. There was a tiny amount of alcohol found in her system, but not a significant amount whatsoever. Not enough for her to be drunk. There was no illicit drugs found in her systems, like recreational drugs either. However, some people speculate that perhaps it could have been a drug that they don't normally test for, or perhaps she was really, really decomposed because she was in a water tank for weeks before she was found. So, like, is it possible that some of the drugs didn't show up on the test? But the most important find in her tox results, regardless of that, is that they found that she hadn't been taking her bipolar medication. She had bipolar disorder, and it seemed like she had recently stopped taking the medication that managed it. Without that, in bipolar disorder, you can go into these really manic episodes, which completely explains the elevator video. The also weird part about this that everybody claims why somebody else must have been involved or that this was supernatural or paranormal is because the doors to the roof were completely locked and only staff of the hotel could get up there without setting off an alarm. That if Elisa had gotten up on the roof without somebody else, she would have set off an alarm at the front desk. And I will admit that is strange, but they did find that there is a fire escape route up to the roof that Elisa could have used that would not have been locked or set off any alarms. And when they brought sniffer dogs in, they did lose Elisa's scent by one of the windows leading to the fire escape. So it is most likely that she went through the fire escape to get up to the roof. But even beyond that, the weirdest part about this, probably for most people, is how she got in the freaking water tank. Like, even the people that are meant to go in those water tanks need a ladder, and it's quite difficult to get up there. They're like 8 feet tall or something like that. So it's like, how the heck did she get in there? And then a lot of people also falsely thought that the cover of the water tank was closed when they found her, but that was actually not the case. The worker that found her, said that the water tank lid was open when he got up there. So it's not like she closed it back on herself, which would have been near impossible. But to me, remember, she was having a manic episode, probably, allegedly. I am not a doctor, but I can Google the symptoms of a manic episode. And according to the Mayo Clinic, you can get from a manic episode increased energy, racing thoughts, less need for sleep, euphoria, which comes with very high confidence, so you can feel invincible, and couple that with impulsive behavior and bad decision making. So if you think about, like, the average person probably couldn't or wouldn't go up there, but somebody who was having a manic episode may be paranoid, but then you have an increased energy, increased sense of invincibility, and then also impulsiveness. All that combined, I could totally see her being able to get the super strength, the temporary super strength to go up there. And for some reason, I honestly think she thought somebody was following her or something, and that is why she was running away, and she thought she had to hide there, and that would be the best place to hide. That's all. That is what I can think of. This is speculation. And then my thought is that when she was in there swimming, not only did she realize she couldn't get out, but she probably suffered hypothermia And that can often make you take your clothes off because you suddenly feel really, really hot, even though you're actually freezing. Like that's one of the symptoms of hypothermia is paradoxal dressing, taking your clothes off. So again, that's speculation. I'm not an expert. I'm not an expert on this case, but that is what I believe happened, is that she was having a manic episode, thought somebody was following her, made it up to the roof thinking that was the only place that she could safely hide, bad decision making, went in the tank, suffered hypothermia, took her clothes off, and eventually drowned. Very, very, very tragic case. And I won't even entertain any theories about ghosts and paranormal stuff because I don't think that. I think the Cecile Hotel might truly be haunted. Like, I do think some of the stories about it are weird and it does have a very weird history, but I honestly don't think that was the case in this case. I think somebody was suffering from mental illness and lost their life because of it, which is just one of the most tragic stories. And like I said, I think we get lost in the sauce and we need to like remember that this was a person. Okay, that was it for tier 1. We did it. Now we're moving on to tier 2. Grave robbing for morons is the first one in tier 2. I made a video about this one too. I made it after I hit 100k, so I'm sure it is better than my blank room soup video. However, it was still quite a while ago. This is a real found footage VHS tape that was made from it looks like the 80s. It could be early 90s though. And it's a video of a teenager literally explaining to us what to do to go grave robbing. You would think he was just messing around and just trying to be edgy and cool for his friends, but then he holds up a very realistic looking skull, which many people have looked at and deduced, experts and non-experts alike have analyzed this video and determined that it is very likely that that is a real skull and that fake skulls are not made that well. There's been several theories over the years of the identities of who this boy at the time and also his friend could possibly be. However, the origins of this video have never been confirmed, which is so bananas to me. They were committing actual crimes, allegedly. At least it certainly looked like it. If I recall, there was other bones in the video as well. Like it was way too detailed for it to be fake bones and fake descriptions of the crimes. Absolutely wild. And it's crazy to me that this person has never been identified or gotten in trouble for this. Again, with grave robbing, I always go back to, it sounds like it's not that big of a deal because you're not hurting anybody physically, but all I think about is if my loved one's grave had been robbed and they literally stole my loved ones or my, grandmother's, she was cremated, but body parts, like I would be so distraught and so upset and scarred. And it's just so upsetting and disrespectful and such a terrible thing to do just to sell on the black market is wild to me. Don't do that. Okay, Owen Hae's final video. Owen Hae was a Korean actress and model. She passed away just a couple years ago in 2020 due to cardiac arrest. However, it's pretty well accepted that she committed S-word, but the Korean media tends to be more vague and private about these things, I've heard. So most sources just say cardiac arrest. Nonetheless, her death is shrouded in a lot of mystery. So first, in 2011, she wore this very revealing dress to an event, which, let's be honest, she slayed this look. Look at this. She's amazingly beautiful. She looks so good. However, in Korea and many Asian cultures, as a lot of us know, a lot of people in those countries had a big issue with her wearing this to a public televised event because of how conservative Korean culture is. And it's just rumored that this dress was one of the big reasons that she never got any good roles in acting again. Because she wore this, she only got femme fatale roles. I even read somewhere that they only offered her softcore roles, stuff like that, more degrading roles, and that was all she could get. So after that happened, that was very, very discouraging. So she made a YouTube channel to start vlogging her life. 2 days before she passed, her very last video had some very strange things in it. At 48 seconds, the video starts glitching and it doesn't stop until 1 minute 48 seconds. She says in the title of the video to please skip the buffering part, so she was aware, and it seemed very strange to people that she didn't realize the glitch was there when she edited the video, because she edits her own videos. So she would have noticed that the buffering was there. She uploaded it anyway, and then when people were commenting on it, she was like, skip the glitch, please. Like, very odd. It seemed deliberate to a lot of people. So she also numbered her videos, and the video before this, her second to last video, was labeled number 45, but then this one should have been 46 then, but instead she labeled this video 48. The clock in this video is inverted because the camera is like mirrored, but it looks like it was 4:30, but it was actually 8:30 at night, it seemed like, when she was taking these videos. But then the hands are on the 4 and the 6, or the 8 and the 6. 48. The video was labeled number 48. Then the glitch happens at 48 seconds and ends at 1 minute and 48 seconds. Then in a previous video at around the 4 minute 8 second mark, a strange subtitle repeating 48 was seen. And then 2 days later, about 48 hours later, Inhe passed away. Then when the video is glitching at the glitching part, it also looks like, a lot of people say it looks like she's like chopping her own neck with a comb. It looks like she's like simulating a chopping motion, which is just everything very, very, very strange. Some people do believe that this is just a string of many coincidences all in one, but others believe that she was trying to tell us something. What? We don't know. I don't know either way. I don't really have an opinion one way or another, but I will comment that it is weird. Like, I do think that there's almost too many 48, number 48 coincidences for it to all be a coincidence. I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist, because I'm definitely not, but it just sounds, there's just too many that seem, I don't know. It just seems like maybe it's not a coincidence. Like, maybe she was trying to tell us something, but the problem is, like, what? I can make an entire video on this case because it goes way deeper than even this. There's this whole other side speculation about the relationships that she was in. She was allegedly in a romantic relationship with a reporter since 2011, when she wore that dress, and this reporter YouTuber guy met her, and he was married and started an affair with her. And apparently, I've heard many allegations that he was not a good guy at all, and that when he was sick of dating her, basically, he like passed her off to one of his colleagues, which was a lawyer, and then he dated her for a couple years, but then she found out that the two of them would objectify her behind her back, and she thought that they really cared about her, and they would call her like, she's just a body behind her back. And we know this because she posted about it on Instagram in this other cryptic post, kind of calling him out. And it just goes way deeper that I could make in this video, because this is not a video only about this. We have a lot of topics to cover, but it just like is really bizarre. I will say it is really bizarre. And then a few years later, the first guy she was having an affair with also died from S word. It's just this is a mystery. This is actually a legit internet mystery that is weird. And I just think that something about this is odd. I don't know what though, and I'm not going to say what or speculate further, because I don't want to like cause rumors to go flying, but something about it is all off. Granted, Korean culture, I have also heard, has a pretty high S-word rate, so it could just all be a coincidence, because S-word's not really uncommon there, but yeah. Anyway, okay, let's move on. The next one is 11BX1371. This refers to a video that was first posted on 4chan in 2015. It depicts a person in a plague doctor mask / costume in an abandoned looking building, like out in the woods in the middle of nowhere. And there's various codes and messages seen through the video, and I will show you some of it now. I'm going to turn the volume way down in this clip because the editing, it is a piercing, terrible background noise throughout the entire video. So you're welcome. So it was eventually revealed that the originator of this video was a man named Peter Wright, who posted photos of the mask and the gloves with the little light thing in the palm to prove it to people that he was the creator of the video. He also told everybody that he was going to post another video in a certain time frame, like in a certain amount of time, and then he actually did, again, just to prove that he really made it. He came out and said that it was just an art project in the end that he was working on. One of the images depicted in the video was people created images from audio waves, some weird code stuff. I've told you, codes are not my thing, but they got connected to a picture connected to the Boston Strangler. So we had like weird messages like that in the video. And then other messages in it were decoded and found cryptic notes about like attacking the White House and even attacking the president. And again, it turned out to all be an art project, and they are interesting codes, but I just want to remind people to be careful about that kind of shit. Like, maybe it's not the best idea to like threaten terrorist attacks and of that nature in your ARG/art project. Like, it's probably just not a good idea, because if it does blow up and it becomes very viral, like, it is free speech, but also you might get in trouble or you might get added to a list. Like, I'm just saying, be careful. Like, maybe come up with a different storyline. Satoshi Nakamoto is the next one. This one's really short. This is a pseudonym for somebody else. This is not the person's real name. Crypto people out there will know what this is, but this just refers to the person or persons who created Bitcoin. The actual maker of Bitcoin, we don't know who actually created Bitcoin. Everybody who has pretended to be the creator who's come forward has been proven not to be the real person. Elon Musk is not it either. A lot of people thought it was him, and he said that no, it wasn't. I feel like if Elon Musk did it, he would happily take credit for it. So I don't think it's him. So it's really weird, but that's just like the name we refer to of the creator of Bitcoin. We don't know who made Bitcoin. Okay, Shima Luan is next. Shima Luan is another pseudonym. We don't know this person's real name. It is a YouTuber who is, again, portrayed as a cartoon. You know how a lot of people do that? Like, She Who Must Not Be Named Illuminati used to have her little, like, triangle face cartoon as her face. A lot of YouTubers do it. That's just the one I think of because I used to watch her. So you know what I'm talking about. But she was portrayed by a pink cat. She had a YouTube channel, but she was later hired by a company called Planet Dolan to narrate for their various YouTube channels. But then in 2016, the girl just vanished from all videos, and Planet Dolan made a statement, like a video statement, explaining that the person behind Shima was prone to doing that, like just disappearing without a trace and not telling them, and then sometimes coming back. But in the video, they made the mistake of saying like, yeah, we don't know where she is. We hope she's okay and well, and they didn't mean anything by it. They were pretty confident that she was fine and just disappeared again. But because they said like, we hope she's okay, the internet was like, oh my God, she's dead, or oh my God, something nefarious happened, right? As the internet does. And that was just like poor wording choice on their behalf.
We don't know where she is. She just vanished off the internet one day. I really hope she's okay, but you know, none of us have heard from her. And look, she has done this before. You know, when we get guest appearances on for SPD, that's because she'd vanished for 3 months at a time without warning. And so we'd really have to scramble because she was, you know, one of our key writers, our key co-star. And you know, it sucked. It sucked. There's not much you can do at that stage. You know, I did my best to keep things going.
So it was theorized that she died. There was another rumor that she was doxxed, like address, full name, like really, really doxxed. And so she left the internet after that happened. Somebody else said that it was because some people were hypersexualizing her animated character, like in the furry community and stuff like that, which was true. But she had also said in the past that she didn't care about that and she expected that to happen because it's the internet. After Scare Theater made a video about it, a member of Planet Dolan, that YouTube channel, came forward and discussed it with him to confirm that Shima was in fact okay.
After making that video, I was able to get in touch with the member of the Planet Dolan crew, Jamcat, as well as receiving permission from their end to create this update video.
What I was trying to say is that I know that they're all kind of very hard-pressed on it, because it's like, you can't say anything outright, because, again, this is a real person, so it's not like you can just say something that you don't really have any more information on. Dolan's already said what he can say, and, like, you know, you have your whole laws and stuff about internet privacy, or you don't want to say something bad about a coworker.
The people that worked with her do know where she lives, do know her real name and everything like that, and can confirm directly that she is alive and well and nothing bad happened. But they did know that she had a lot of anxiety. They didn't want to say too much, obviously, because she obviously chose not to tell us for a reason, give details for a reason, so they wanted to respect that. It's theorized that maybe she just decided one day that YouTube wasn't for her. Maybe her anxiety took over. Maybe she's having a mental health crisis. Like, it could be all these kinds of things, but she did not die and she wasn't doxxed. Sometimes there's just boring explanations for stuff. Sometimes the boring explanation is just the right one. Charlie Chaplin Time Traveler is next. This one refers to a video clip that is all the way back from 1928. Someone had Charlie Chaplin's movie The Circus on DVD, and on the extras on the DVD, y'all remember DVD extras? Like, they'd have behind the scenes and like fun like music videos and stuff like that. But on this DVD, in the extras, there was a premiere of the movie The Circus. There was like footage of the premiere, and in the footage, behind the zebra in the footage, it's a fake zebra, but there's a person that walks by that looks like they're holding and talking on a cell phone. This led, of course, people to jump to the conclusion that it was a time traveler, because what else could it be? Because nobody would just have a cell phone in 1928. I mean, I don't know how this person, if that were the case, how they'd be getting cell phone reception. There were not cell phone towers back in 1928 just around, and also, like, who the hell would they be talking to? But okay. Anyway, this one has been solved. This is very, very most likely just somebody with a handheld hearing aid that had been invented and produced for the first time a couple years prior to this video being taken. And if that's not it, which I really think it is, but if it's somehow not, it could simply be them like adjusting their hat or shielding their face from the sun or something like that. Like, there could be a completely logical explanation and not a time traveler. 9/11 predictions in the media is next. This is just when people have clucked onto the fact that in some TV shows and movies, it is speculated that they predicted the 9/11 attack. Yeah, the biggest example is from a Simpsons episode where they're going to go to New York. It aired in 1997, a few years before the tragedy, where Lisa holds up a magazine and there's a $9 sign on it, aligned by the Twin Towers on it, so it kind of looks like it says 9/11. A lot of people believed that this was on purpose. One of the original writers for The Simpsons, though, A.J. Dean, came forward and said that this was just a coincidence, and that they make so many episodes of The Simpsons. When you make so many episodes of a show, some coincidences like that are bound to happen. The same for The Simpsons supposedly predicting that Trump was going to be the president. You know, like, it really is just like we ignore all the many other things that The Simpsons says about the future or about these little nuggets of info that we would never think twice about. We only look back. It's confirmation bias, you know? It's just us like looking for patterns where there aren't any. Like, there's thousands and thousands of other elements in the Simpsons and we don't think twice about them. So then another one is in the original Back to the Future movie, where the big clock in the movie says 9:55, which means the hands are on the 9 and the 11. And Marty is also saying that, like, I have to tell you about the future, like, at the same time. So people also thought that that was a prediction of 9/11, which I'm sure there's more examples. Those are the two biggest ones that I see come up over and over. It's just very, very silly to me. 1000% those are just coincidences. People be reaching. People love conspiracies. It cracks me up, like, almost more than the conspiracies themselves. I find it interesting, the human psychology behind believing conspiracy theories. Don't get me wrong, there's been a couple conspiracy theories that turned out to be true over the years, but I just find it so interesting that people weirdly want it to be true. It's weird. It's like they have this weird, like, I wish these weird dark things did happen because life would be more interesting or something. I don't know. Anyway, okay, next is Chip Chan. This is a very disturbing one. Chip Chan is a Korean woman who claims that she had a microchip implanted near her eyebrow, and then she also claims that she had a mind control weapon that was put into her ankle, like in her foot. She believes that there is a police officer that we only know as the letter P, stalking her, controlling her sleeping patterns when she sleeps, and he's been doing this for more than a decade, for like years and years and years. He has been keeping close tabs on her. She claims that the reason he's after her is for her family's inheritance. And the reason any of us even know who this person is because of her beliefs. She set up cameras all over her apartment, and she started live streaming herself in her apartment 24/7, and like literally probably won the record for the longest live stream ever, because she was live streaming this, like letting people see all the cameras in her apartment for over a decade, over 10 years. Like absolutely mind-boggling to have cameras on you 24/7. But the purpose of the cameras was so that we could help her monitor when and if P breaks into her apartment and what he does, to prove that she wasn't lying about him and stuff like that. The other weird thing was that she rarely did anything other than sleep and work. Like she would sleep for very long periods of time, and then she would just be on her bed or somewhere on her laptop, typing away on the laptop, and that's like literally all she did. And then she'd go back to sleep and then wake up and just be on her laptop. She would sleep in weird positions, like on the floor with her feet up on a chair, just like bizarro stuff. The only time she left the apartment, I think, was like once a month for groceries. And that was the only time she left the apartment. No friends, no family, no visits. She did finally stop the live stream a few years ago, so she's no longer doing that, but she's still active to this day. She's still posting on her YouTube channel, and she's blogging. And on her YouTube channel, there's all these really still like paranoid videos. If you're squeamish, don't go look, because she posts a lot of her skin conditions, like on her feet and like what's happening to her skin. But it seems to be proof to her that it's proof of the implant that her body is reacting to. And then she's posting videos of the police in Korea and talking about how they like see the police are after us, they want to kill us all, and all this stuff. Then the descriptions are long. The description box under the videos are very long and nonsensical. However, to be fair, she's Korean and she is speaking English, so English might be her second language, so maybe that's why the description sounds so odd. But yeah, just very, very strange. Like people are like, how do you not have to work? Like, why do you never go anywhere? How do you not have any family or friends and never go anywhere except to get groceries? And it's thought that maybe her inheritance is really that big, and that's what she's living off of, so she doesn't have to work? I don't know. Obviously, you've probably caught on by now, but the most likely explanation for this is that poor Chip Chan is very mentally ill and is suffering from paranoid delusions. And then with that, she does not have family or friends checking up on her, calling her to make sure she's okay, trying to get her medication and treatment for her mental illness, and she must just not have a support system. So if you have a mental illness and you don't have any support system or help or people to caregivers or anything, like you're going to isolate, and then it could make everything much worse. So that's what I think is happening. That's what most people think is happening. I think it's really, really sad though. And I really hope she gets some help someday, because like now we don't know if she stopped streaming because now she's without a home and she's on the streets. She seems to be on the streets for some of the videos, and it's just really odd. The reason that we don't believe her delusions are true is because, I mean, at least for me, is she was being stalked and controlled this closely by someone named P, who is literally controlling when she sleeps and wakes up and works and does everything. Like, if that was really happening, why would they let her live stream it and expose it all over the internet? Like, that wouldn't make a ton of sense. Like, they wouldn't let her do that if this were true. So the biggest prevailing theory is that this is just, it's not officially solved, but that this is just like really, really heartbreaking mental illness. Cursed Kleenex commercial is next. This one makes me giggle. On a more lighthearted note, this one refers to an urban legend that surrounds a real TV commercial back from the mid-1980s. Here is But then there's also this whole other rumor that if you watched the same commercial, but it happened to be after midnight, the commercial would change and it would glitch, and then there would be like weird demonic voices and stuff. And then it said there was a rumor going around that everybody in the commercial, the baby, the woman, and all the crew working on the commercial passed away soon after the commercial was made, and they all died under weird circumstances. Like, one rumor was that the baby died because of the toxic paint that they used on him, which was not true. The baby did not die. And then the actress in the commercial didn't actually die, but she went mad after the commercial and ended up in a psychiatric institution. The commercial is creepy, I will give them that. And Kleenex actually pulled the commercial because of all the complaints they were getting about how weird and creepy it was. Other than that part, the commercial getting pulled is true because of the complaints of how creepy it was, but the rest of it is not. None of the cast or crew passed away right after this commercial was made. In fact, the actress in this commercial has been identified as Kiko Matsuzaka. Apologize for my pronunciation. She's 71 years old now and still acting in some stuff, even though she definitely does not look 71. 41, maybe, but yeah, so this is, God, she's beautiful. So that's the cursed Kleenex commercial. Not cursed. I'd be curious to know where all the rumors started of people, cast and crew of the commercial, just dying. Okay, Burger King foot lettuce. This one's so funny, but also disgusting, so I'm really sorry. In January 2012, somebody posted this photo on 4chan and claimed they were a Burger King employee, and they were standing on the Burger King lettuce, and the caption said, "This is the lettuce you eat at Burger King." It took 4chan literally no time at all, minutes after this photo was posted, to figure out exactly where this Burger King was. Sometimes I love the internet. The users on 4chan figure out that the poster did not remove the photo's EXIF data. If somebody computery could explain that, like we're all five, do kind of an explain like I'm five of what that even is in the comments, that would be great, because I don't know what that is really. I don't really get it, but they were able to use the data from the photo to figure out basically where it was posted from. And they found the Burger King in the area, all the Burger Kings in the area, and they narrowed it down. So 4chan users started contacting local news stations in that area, and they contacted the manager at that Burger King. And the manager was like, "Oh, I know exactly who that is. They're getting fired." So the employee was fired very quickly after they posted this photo, and it did make the local news. And A+ for the internet. I don't usually say good things about 4chan users because I hate 4chan, but in this case they did a good job. I appreciate it. So, okay, moving on to Tyler's last words. This is more of a serious one. However, it's a hoax, so don't worry. This guy did not actually pass away from S-word. So this was another YouTube video that was posted in 2011. It started gaining more traction in 2018 though, when it just started randomly showing up in people's recommended, and then it kind of took off in the algorithm. This was supposedly a man named Tyler playing a song on his guitar for his late wife. After the video, he supposedly took his own life, and his brother posted the video because it was like in his notes. It's like part of his last requests was to post the video, which is kind of weird. So this was further pushed by the end of the video. I'm not going to show this part because I'll get demonetized for sure, but Tyler puts a you-know-what up to himself right before the video ends. It doesn't show anything, but yeah. So this has been confirmed to be a hoax. This is a man named Austin Cross, not Tyler, and he is in a band called My Fair Fiend, and at the time, My Fair Fiend had an album called Victoria, which the description, his brother posting the video of his last words, in the description, it claimed that his wife's name was Victoria. And Austin Cross from the band is also a singer and also looks identical, looks exactly like the guy in the video. So, mystery solved. This video is so long, you guys. If you're still watching, thank you. I think this might be my longest video ever. The evil farming game is next. This one is also solved. In 2016, a Redditor by the name of Sparta213 posted in Tip of My Joystick about a game that was similar to all the other farming games that we have, you know, but in this one, you killed your wife. It had like a dark twist where you killed your wife, and then while keeping up with your farm and doing the crops and the products and stuff, you also have to make sure that you're hiding her body from the police and from the town. This user claimed to have played the game in the early 2000s, but didn't remember much about the game or what its name was, so he was asking Reddit if they could help him track it down. This went wild on Reddit, and people were making Discord servers and subreddits devoted to solving this and trying to find the game in question. But this was finally solved when a Discord user in one of these servers had shared a video clip from a streamer called Vinesauce Joel, and he is streaming and he makes a joke and kind of keeps going with the joke and pitches an idea for a very similar game. So here's that clip.
You know what it sounds like? It sounds like Harvest Moon, but with like corpses. It sounds like that'd be a fun game, just playing as Harvest Moon, but throughout all of the gameplay, you gotta hide a dead corpse. You know what? You know what? No, fuck. You know what it is? Harvest Moon. It's just regular Harvest Moon with your wife, and midway in the game, you have an argument with your wife, and you accidentally kill her with like a I don't know, like a saw blade. No, fuck it. You kill her with like a barbecue kebab rack. Like you impale her accidentally, and you're like, oh shit, I didn't mean that. And at the same time as you gotta like, you know, you gotta manage your farm, you know, raise your chickens and milk the cows. You also gotta like hide the body from the cops sometimes, from health security checks, and yeah.
So then Sparta213, the original rumor starter, the original one that posted on Reddit that was like, what the heck is this game that I'm thinking of? Watched the clip and confirmed that that is what he was thinking of. He admitted too that he had on occasion fallen asleep while listening to Vinesauce Joel like put him to sleep, like as he was going to sleep. So it's likely that he heard Vinesauce Joel talking about this game that he made up as a joke while he was going to sleep, and so it kind of imprinted in his memory as a real thing. Okay, the Wyoming incident is next. I am really confused as to why this one is not labeled solved, because this has been confirmed to be an ARG. This is another television hijack incident, supposedly, that happened in Wyoming in 2007. It's like a 6-minute video, so I'm not going to play the whole thing for you, but here's a cut down version so you can get the gist.
Forced to visit in preparation for the 2008 general election. Republican President Jackson. Mitt Romney also plans on visiting Titor in Cheyenne on his presidential tour.
A lot of viewers who saw this hijacking were rumored to have gotten hallucinations, vomiting, headaches, other scary symptoms after seeing it. And if this sounds like a creepypasta to you, that's because it is. This was nothing more than a creepypasta / like I said, an ARG that somebody created. The video itself was not real. The hijacking was never real. It was a creepypasta somebody made up that was inspired by the Max Headroom incident, which we talked about earlier. If you think about it though, this would almost be impossible to be real because, I mean, it was really hard enough to hijack a TV station back in, I think it was the 80s or 90s when the Max Headroom thing happened. Like, it was already really hard to hijack a TV station. Like, imagine trying to do it in 2007. Like, it probably wouldn't be in the realm of possibility for most people. Okay, Clockman is next. This was a short that aired during the Nickelodeon show called Pinwheel in the late 1970s. So Pinwheel is a totally separate show, but sometimes during these shows, whoever was hosting the show would be like, okay, we're gonna watch this short, take a little break here. So they would post this short video in the midst of the show. It was completely forgotten about until like 2012 when a user who went by Commander Santa posted about it, again asking the internet and trying to recruit people to help him what the name of the video was and like what it was about. A lot of people just chalked it up to a creepypasta because it sounds like one, you know, like he was misremembering something, that this was like a Candle Cove type situation, but it turns out that it wasn't. This was actually a real video. He was not misremembering. The original thought was that the video showed a Clockman, a very, very creepy character who would come out of the clock at night and snatch children from their beds and then return them to their beds before their parents could realize they were gone. So unbelievably unsettling. Turns out the real show was finally tracked down, and it was actually a show from the Czech Republic, and it was called About Dressy Sally. It was a stop motion short film that was actually originally released in 1976, like I said, in the Czech Republic. The real film is about a young girl who makes a deal with a wizard, and when she doesn't follow through on her part of the deal, he does indeed come out of the clock in her room and snatches her up. She has to then like sew stars for the sky for him or something to get him to return her to her bed. I don't know, bizarre fever dream childhood shit, right? Very creepy, and it does make sense that people were misremembering it in this way of like a little boy getting snatched up by a Clockman. They were pretty close. So yeah, there was a real film and people were just misremembering the details of it. Publius Enigma is the last one on tier 2 and the last one we're going to talk about today. This one is about the band Pink Floyd and their 14th studio album called The Division Bell from 1994. During the tour of this album, someone who called themselves Publius posted on a forum letting fans know that there was a riddle in the album that fans should work on solving. This seemed like it was a legit person with a legit lead because during their show in New Jersey, the lights on the stage spelled out the words Enigma Publius, and the user was Publius. Then, during a televised show in London, the word Enigma was shown behind the band on stage. It's so funny because the band later confirmed that this was indeed just a marketing campaign by their EMI Records, which was their record label. Like, their record label had this idea for this ad campaign, and so that's where all of this stemmed from. It turned out to just be a publicity stunt for the album. But interestingly enough, the puzzle was never solved. Someone from the band said that originally the prize was like philanthropy type prize, like they got trees planted somewhere around the world or something like that for anybody who solved it, but nobody ever won. Nobody ever figured out what the puzzle is. So this one is solved in the sense that we know it was a publicity stunt, but like, what was the puzzle? Was it real? Did they really have a puzzle, or was it just kind of like random codes that they were putting in there to make it seem like there was a puzzle? Okay guys, I have been filming this video for almost 2.5 hours, so I'm gonna go take a little break now. So that was tier 1 and 2 2 of the Internet Mysteries Iceberg. We have a lot to go over. Like I said, there was even a few in there that I hadn't even heard of that I thought were really interesting. This is only going to get deeper, more obscure, and probably darker. So please go with me on this ride when I come out with the next video. And yeah, I love you all so much. Thank you for watching. Please like the video if you liked it. Dislike it if you disliked it. But if you made it all the way here and now you're gonna dislike the video, that would be a little weird because you just wasted a lot of your own time. But please subscribe if you want to see more videos from me. Don't forget our sponsor, which is Trade Coffee. Link for that down below, and I will see you all in the next one. Okay, bye.